Man's relationship to the land is a major problem for today's society. We like to think that modern man is the first creature who has found his lifestyle out of harmony with nature. We think of primitive man as living in balance with his environment. But man has always had a problem living within the balance of nature. And many societies have encountered environmental problems like those we are facing in today's world. Plants offer a useful yet simple example of this problem. When geologic events result in bare rock exposed at the Earth's surface, lower life forms soon begin to establish themselves. These reddish plants, called lichens, are usually the first plants to make a home on such a surface. As the years pass, their life processes change the rock, making life more difficult for the lichen, but creating an environment in which other plants can survive. As a result, the mosses move in, and in the course of time develop soil too rich for the moss to survive. The moss is replaced by a stand of ferns and other low plants. They in turn are followed by other plant groups until a climax forest evolves in which the plants do not eliminate themselves, but rather grow, mature, and die, only to be replaced by new generations of the same species. So lichens, moss, and ferns might be thought of as pioneers. They move into an environment which offers them opportunities, occupy it for a time, and so change the environment that they can no longer live there. They have to move on or die out and be replaced. So the question is man, like the lichen, a pioneer? Is man a species that will occupy an environment for a period of time, take his opportunity and then move on and be replaced? Or instead is he a climax species, such as the forest? Can he survive for long periods of time in balance with nature? Certainly at other times in his history, man has been a pioneer. During the gold rush days, men and women moved westward and prospered in the mines of the western states. When the mines worked out, they moved on, leaving only ghost towns and abandoned mine dumps. This wasteful lifestyle has been continued in our lifetime. Today we have even more technological know-how to change the land to fit our needs. But modern man is not the only one to change his environment by the way he uses the land. This is Chaco Canyon in New Mexico. Around 700 AD, Indians came here bringing agriculture with them. Archaeologists believe that Chaco Canyon wasn't always this barren. There is evidence that before the Indians came, the mesas were covered with trees and the soil was rich. The Indians farmed the mesas and lived in primitive dwellings which were nothing more than holes in the ground, thatched over with sticks and grass. These first houses were built out in the fields, but as their agricultural technology grew, their diet improved and their population exploded. As a result, they moved their villages to the protection of the cliffs. Their masonry was complex, and they built multi-story apartment-like structures. The ruins of some of them are still visible in Chaco Canyon. This one, called Pueblo Bonito, had 800 rooms and probably housed several hundred people. The Indians used heavy beams of ponderosa pine between floors. They were cross-layered with smaller beams of pinyon pine and covered with a webbing of juniper bark. Finally, several inches of soil formed the floor of the room above. These walls show two rooms, one above the other. Fire destroyed the timbers long ago, but you can still see the holes for the large beams and the broken pinyon timbers in the opposite wall. If you visit Chaco Canyon today, several questions come to mind. The first is, why aren't people living here now? Thousands of people once lived here. Where did they go, and why? It's obvious from looking at the ruins that the people used thousands of trees in the construction of their dwellings. There must have been large forests in the area. Today, though, there are no such trees. No ponderosas, no pinyons. There are a few junipers, but they could not provide enough timber for such widespread construction as there once was in Chaco Canyon. What, then, happened to the trees? Some people have suggested that the intensive occupation of the valley and the increasing use of the land for agriculture as the population expanded finally caused erosion problems. The erosion of the valley floor caused the lowering of the water table and made farming difficult, if not impossible. Today we can see similar conditions on the floor of Chaco Canyon. There is a great gully running down the center of the valley. This gully is the only place in the canyon where there is enough water for any luxuriant growth at all. Certainly, the canyon floor can no longer grow crops to support thousands of people as it did hundreds of years ago. Like the pioneer lichens, man moved into Chaco Canyon, used the resources, made the land unfit for use, and was forced to move on. We then are not the only culture that has overused the land. The Indians of Chaco Canyon had the same problem. However, agricultural resources like water, soil, animals, and plants are not nearly so hard to replace as the minerals, coal, and oil required by our technological lifestyle. Modern man is finally beginning to realize that if he doesn't find a way to live in balance with the Earth's resources, he, like the pioneer plants, may die out. We must learn to live in balance with the Earth and to maintain our environment, because there is no more room for pioneers, and we can no longer just move on.